Hello, investors. Thank you for taking the time to listen to our presentation today. My name is Ken MacLeod. I'm the President and CEO of Sonoro Gold Corp, a Vancouver, Canada-based junior exploration and development company operating in northern Mexico. I'd like to introduce you to all aspects of the company. First, I'll introduce you to our management team, starting off with John Darche. Now, John joined the company in 2018. And he's been a driving force in raising capital for the company and moving the projects through the exploration phase as rapidly as possible, with the eventual goal of going to production with one or more projects over the coming years. He brings a wealth of expertise to the company, having spent 35 years in the identification, funding, and operation of mining companies in various parts of the world. He operated in Thailand, he operated in Africa, in Europe, in North and South America, and also as far afield as Greenland. So he brings a wealth of expertise that is so suitable for ensuring the future success of Sonoro. My own background is quite similar to John's as well. I've spent 35 years operating and funding companies around the world, from Africa through Asia, through North and South America, all in their resource sector. And over the past 5 years, I've been the president and CEO of Sonoro, and that's my sole focus. And in fact, between John and me, it's our sole focus for ensuring the future success of Sonoro Gold. Our technical team is headed by the two key players in Mexico, Melvin Herdrick. He's a professional geologist, and he's our vice president of exploration based in Hermosillo, along with the Vice President of Operations, Jorge Diaz, who is also resident in Hermosillo. And between the two of them, they run all the technical aspects of Sonoro in Mexico. Mel's expertise started off in Idaho, having gained his professional degree with the Idaho School of Mines, and he operated in the United States for years, working as a geologist for Kennecott Corporation and Phelps Dodge, before eventually moving to Mexico 30 years ago, where he became the head of exploration Mexico for Phelps Dodge, and achieved great successes in that role as well. But in 2004, he joined a junior resource company called Pediment Gold. Pediment was one of the companies that became very, very successful over the next 7-year period through Mel's expertise. He was instrumental in finding projects that Pediment was able to drill, and eventually developed two key deposits in northern Mexico. The first one was the La Colorada deposit, which is 1 hour's drive south of Hermosillo. That particular deposit was located close to an earlier shut-in mine at La Colorada, and with the expectation that there would be no more resource available to supply the mine. But Mel demonstrated beyond a shadow of a doubt that was not the case, and he was very successful in developing that resource to the point where it became a takeover target, as I will explain in a second. The other project that he was successful in acquiring and developing, or taking through the exploration phase, was the San Antonio deposit on the Baja Peninsula. That became a 2 million ounce resource. Between the two resources, the 2 million ounce resource at San Antonio and the 1.5 million ounce at La Colorada, it became a takeover target for Argonaut Gold to come in and acquire Pediment Gold in 2011 for $137 million. So it was a very successful outcome. Now, since that time, Mel has been the head of exploration for Sonoro Gold. Now, the other member of the team that has been so successful was Jorge Diaz, who's our vice president of operations. He's a Mexican citizen, educated at the Colorado School of Mines, and he's over 35 years experience in the design, development, construction, and operation of gold mines in northern Mexico, most of which were open pit heap leach mines. So he brings a tremendous wealth of expertise that is very complementary to the future projects that we're developing here with Sonoro Gold. The other members of our team are all seasoned professionals in their fields, and Steve Kenwood, a professional geologist, almost 30 years experience now in developing resources in various parts of the world. And then we have Curtis Turner, a recent new director, came on board in August of this year. And Curtis brings a wealth of expertise in the mining sector all the way through from project acquisitions, through permitting, through planning, and to the implementation of all the production procedures, having worked with Argonaut Gold during the development phase when they acquired Betamin Gold and eventually developed the projects in northern Mexico. Mexico is one of the best targets for exploration and development for precious metals in the world. It's the 8th largest gold producer in the world, and it's the #1 producer of silver in the world. There's over 500 years of mining history in Mexico, go all the way back to the days of the Aztecs. It's a very low political risk jurisdiction. And Sonora State in particular is probably the finest state in Mexico for exploration and development, being so mining friendly. Permitting is streamlined in Sonora State. And Hermosillo is a technological center for northwestern Mexico with a Ford assembly plant situated in Hermosillo. Now in 2018, 38% of Mexico's gold output originated in Sonora State. And 9% of Mexico's silver production also originated in Sonora State. So you can see Sonora is one of the driving forces of the economy of Mexico. Now the next slide shows a map of a lot of the mining projects in northern Mexico. We're surrounded by producing mines. We're in a field where to the east of us is the Sierra Madre Gold Belt, which is a major geological structure that runs for over 1,000 kilometers in a southeast-northwesterly direction and throughout northern Mexico and into the southern United States. And to the west of us is the San Marcial project. The main project we're focusing on at this point in time is the Cerro Caliche project. We intend to drill the San Marcial project over the coming 12 to 18 months, but it was superseded by the fact that we had a lot more data on the Cerro Caliche project when we started investigating Cerro Caliche. But we are surrounded by producing mines. To the southeast of us and on strike is the Mercedes mine operated by Premier Gold. We're on the same structure as Premier Gold, and to the north of us is the recently acquired Santa Gertrudis project, which Agnico Eagle acquired from GoGold in November 2017 for a grand total of $92 million US. And they've been drilling it ever since. Now, adjacent to us on the west is a Cerro Prieto gold mine, open pit heap leach facility as well. So we are in a very strong and very distinct gold mining district, and all throughout northern Mexico, we feel that we're in probably one of the finest infrastructure areas in northern Mexico. We're 2-hour drive from the American border, with 3-hour drive from Hermosillo, and infrastructure is very, very strong. The concession itself was acquired starting in 2018. We acquired 5 agreements of covering 1,400 hectares. And since that time, we have been able to identify that almost the entire 1,400 hectare area under our control is mineralized. Moving on to the next slide, the Aeromagnetic Survey that was taken by the Geological Survey of Mexico. This map showed the signature of the magnetic body underlaying both the Mercedes mine and Cerro Caliche, suggests that the mineralization of both bodies was created by the same pluton. And a good example of geothermal epithermal model, this is based on the Buchanan model, suggests that the pluton that created the mineralization at the Mercedes mine is very similar, if not identical, to the mineralization at the Cerro Caliche project. Now, over the past 2 years, the drilling that we have been doing has been mainly focused on the very, very shallow, down to 70 meters of true depth. and that was to investigate the potential for large-scale, low-grade, but high tonnage, open pitable, heap leachable operation. And we've been very successful in taking the project through to the stage it's at now, where we have identified the potential for an open pit heap leach mine. Underneath the shallow, lower grade resource in this epithermal model here, we're contemplating the potential for finding the higher grade vein zones that underlay and that fed the low grade zones near the surface. And our plan right now is to do a two-phase drilling program, and these programs are underway. The first, of course, is continue with the drilling of the shallow zones to keep identifying major mineralization near surface, but also to go a little bit deeper to locate the source of the high-grade vein zones that we believe are present underneath the low-grade zones. And so we've got a core drilling program investigating the higher grades, potential higher grades at depth, while we have an RC program drilling for expansion of a resource near the surface. This map shows the multiple mineralized zones that we've identified through surface sampling and through RC drilling over the past 3 years, and which prior operators had identified through their RC drilling as well over the past 15, 20 years. The main zone that we show here right now, bordered in red, is the Japonesa zone, and it's the location of most of the 200,000 ounce inferred resource that was stipulated in the 43-101 technical report that was prepared in July of 2019. The report stated that the mineralization was open to depth, and it's open along strike to the southeast and to the northwest. And I wanted to emphasize to the southeast, about 8 kilometers, is the Mercedes mine on the same structure. The other zones that I'm showing in black rectangles are zones that we have done sufficient drilling to identify mineralized zones that have the similar or better values to the central zone of Japoneses, but there's an insufficient drilling spacing to enable us to classify these zones currently as a resource. So the goal now is to bring additional drilling to bear on these particular zones in order to quantify a resource in each one of these rectangles. So currently we have one RC rig that is operating to, first of all, expand the resource, do some infill drilling at the Japonesas, that red bordered zone, and to expand the drilling to the northwest and to the southeast, thereby expanding this 200,000 ounce of gold equivalent resource. The next step for the RC rigs will be to start infill drilling in the other zones that I've identified in the black rectangles, and demonstrate the resource in these particular zones as well. And what we may eventually find is a lot of these particular separate zones will merge into one larger potential open pit in the future. The next item to discuss will be the yellow highlighted drill targets that we see there. These are all the way from DD01 to DD11, and these are the traces, the proposed traces for the core drilling that we've embarked upon now to identify the potential for a deeper, higher grade resource in the order of about 200 to 300 meters below the surface. These particular drill holes are targeted to be in the order of about 300 to 400 meters in length at an angle of 45 degrees, thereby a true depth below surface of 200 to 300 meters that we're investigating to determine the presence of high-grade mineralization. The two targets currently are: one, high-grade mineralization at depth through the core drilling program, and B, the RC rig operating to expand the current resource from 200,000 ounces. And over the past year, we have also done an internal study, which we eventually published, to demonstrate the potential for the known zones that we've identified in this particular map here. And so by taking each one of these zones and giving a sphere of influence of 30 meters around the known mineralized holes that we've identified, we've been able to ascertain the potential for between 75 and 100 million tons of mineralization with a grade of between 0.3 and 0.5 grams as a target for us to drill out over the coming year to year and a half, with eventually leading to a fairly substantial open pit heap leachable mine. The next slide shows a cross section of the Japonesa zone where we're currently drilling to try to establish a deeper, higher grade resource. And the reason that this particular zone was selected was because the fact that we have high grade samples taken at surface along with good intercepts with higher grades that were taken in earlier drilling, and it enabled us then to pinpoint with a certain degree of accuracy the prospects of finding deeper, higher grade results. Going on to the next slide, the same thing. This time I'm showing a cross section of the El Colorado zone. And as you can see from the slide, you see some very high grades at surface, 25 grams of gold, 194 grams of silver. Intercepts at depth as well in the earlier drilling, 10.67 meters of almost 13 grams of gold and 6 grams of silver. These all lead us to believe that underlaying the lower grade near surface resource is a deeper, higher grade resource as well. The main features of the timeline for Cerro Caliche over the coming 15 to 18 months is illustrated in this particular slide. By December of 2020, we fully expect to complete over 4,000 meters of core drilling and 7,000 meters of RC drilling. This will comprise infill and step-out drilling to expand the inferred resource, along with exploring for high-grade gold and silver in the known vein zones, and also in developing additional vein zones through the sampling process and the drilling process. Also in November of 2020, we fully expect to submit the application for a mining license, and that will take several months to obtain that license from the environmental arm of the Mexican government. In December of 2020 as well, we expect to complete metallurgical testing and report on that in January of 2021. At the same time, in January of 2021, we will have taken all of the earlier drilling, plus the drilling up to and including December of 2020, and include all of the data in an updated 43-101 technical report on the resource. That will also be complementary to the completion of a preliminary economic assessment, which we anticipate should be ready by the end of February of 2021. At that point, we should be in a position to finalize the engineering to develop the proposed mine. The anticipated date for receipt of the mining license is April of 2021, which will then enable us to complete project financing and start the mine construction at that time, with a view to being in production in the final quarter of 2021. The next item to review is the capital structure for the company. Sonoro Gold trades on various exchanges, the main one being the TSX Venture Exchange in Canada under the trading symbol SGO, and in the US on the OTCQB under the trading symbol SMOFF. We also trade on the German exchanges under the trading symbol FRA23SP. Over the past few months, the stock has been trading at a relatively modest 30 cents. It trades an average of approximately just under 2 million shares per month. And the market capitalization is approximately $24 million. And there are 82 million shares issued and outstanding, with an additional 41 million warrants, which would bring in approximately $12 to $13 million when exercised. And the total issued and standing, along with the fully diluted, would be 132 million shares approximately. Once again, investors, thank you very much for taking the time to listen to my presentation today.